All right, all right. We have a very important, which we believe we have a good topic at the table. And this is very important because we want to discuss the financials, and this economy is like really, really messed up right now. And a lot of us are trying to find ways and do things where we can safeguard not only our finances, but we can accumulate money, and not just right now, but over time. So we're going to talk about our subject matter for today. We're going to talk about how to make 250,000, 550,000, a million over the period of time, okay, over the long run, for you and your family, especially for your families, because a lot of us need to be putting away for our families. So I'm here with the beautiful First Lady, Tasha, Todd, of course. And man, I'm telling you, it is rough out here. It's rough out here in these financial streets.
Very interesting times we're living in, of course. So, yeah. So let's talk about it. So, as Todd was saying, okay, it's so super important for us to make sure that we are thinking in ahead when it comes to our financials. Of course, we're thinking of present time too, because right now it's just absolutely just bonkers when it comes to what's going on with the inflation and all that stuff. But some of you, people who are, of course, maybe you're already actively contributing to maybe 401ks or putting money aside for your future. And so we just wanted to make sure that we brought this important topic up of the wonderful world of compound interest. Okay, compound interest. Make sure that you take advantage of that. So when it comes to investing, of course, one of the biggest questions or concerns is how much and by when. Okay, like how much do I need to put away, and what is my return going to be, and when am I going to get that return? So compound interest is a great way or a great thing to take advantage of. And I have a quote here. Albert Einstein.
Your boy. That's your grandfather?
No.
Great
I
grandfather?
know, right? No, Albert
Triple great
Einstein.
grandfather.
He called compound interest the most important invention in all of human history, which I thought was pretty funny. But when we get finished talking about it, maybe you'll think so too, at least when it comes to the financials. So when we look at the word compound interest, there are two components that, we want to break it down to brass tacks, as they say. Two components are at work here. So compound, or I should say interest rather, simply means money paid regularly at a particular rate for the use of money lent or for delaying the repayment of a debt. Okay, that's the technical term. So basically, it's a particular percentage paid out regularly for the money that you have obviously put away in terms of your investment. So, that could be 5%, 10%, whatever the case may be. And those percentages will be more so when we talk about simple interest. There's rate of return of maybe like 5%, 10%, and you're just going to get that same percentage year in, year out, whatever amount that you put away. There's no fluctuation. So moving on to compound simply means a mixture. Okay, so when we think about, mixing something together, you have to have two or more components. So something composed of, again, two or more separate elements. So compound interest is basically the interest on a loan or deposit that accrues on both the initial principal, I know a little technical here, but I'll break it down, initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. Okay, so all of that to say, this is how it works. Compound interest works like this. You have simple interest and compound interest. This is a great way to get a clear understanding. Say you have $1,000, okay? And you're going to get a rate of return of, we'll say, 5%. With simple interest, year in and year out, you're going to get $50, okay? $50, no more, no less. No matter, whatever you do, you're going to get $50 year in and year out because your initial investment was $1,000. Okay. With compound interest, however, you're going to initially, the first year, you're going to get the same $50, but then you're going to reinvest that. And then now you're going to get the next interest payment, if it's paid out on a yearly basis, is going to be on the $1,050. Okay. Now, over time, that's the most important thing when it comes to compound interest is over time, that can be a huge game changer when it comes to your savings for your family, for yourself, for your retirement. And you can really accumulate some major buku money with a smaller amount up front. So let's give you a monetary example as far as that. Okay, so let me find my little chart here.
She's so good in math, I tell you. I was never good in math.
So, and follow me here. Maybe I don't know.
One semester, my first semester of algebra, I did pretty good. But other than that, I totally bombed.
I think it's probably the teachers. I honestly.
No, the actual teacher was good. It was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was too busy looking at the chicks in the class.
Wow. No, I say that because one time I had did horribly in math, which is not like me at all. But it was definitely the teacher, because the teacher was different next semester, and of course I improved. Anyway, so let's take an example of, we'll say 20 years, because hey, again, the thing when it comes to compound interest is you want to think about the long term. I know that Todd talks about some of the more rapid rates of return. We're talking about long term here, the long haul. So this is something that you want to think about for your kids or your grandkids, or you at retirement or things like that. So to give you an idea of simple versus compound interest, so say for instance you started with that $1,000, that same $1,000, okay? After 20 years time, you're gonna have $30,000 with the simple interest plan, okay? You're going to have $30,000 with the simple interest because, of course, you've been basically accumulating that same amount of money for 20 years. However, look at the difference. With compound interest, that same amount of money over 20 years is actually going to be $67,275. Okay? So it is a huge difference as far as when you have the type of interest that you're going to accumulate. You always wanted to think about compound interest. Now, obviously, not all banks or places like that offer it, but Todd is going to give us some examples of where to get that from.
Oh, yeah?
I hope so. But one final thing, I want to drive this point home. Here's an interesting story, okay? Say you take, this is, let me get my papers together. I'm not want to fumble around like Todd. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing.
No, you're not.
Okay, but here's a story to drive this point home. If you still don't understand the magic, so to speak, of compound interest. Say you have two twin brothers, and I'm getting this out of a book that I read. Say you have two twin brothers, okay? They both, obviously they're the same age, they're twins. But one brother started saving at the age of 20, okay? And he, over the next 20 years, he invested $4,000 annually, okay? Now, so that means and he started at the age of 20. So by the time he was 40 years old, he stopped contributing to the account and just let the money in there to grow tax-free at a rate of return of 10% each year, okay? Again, this is compound interest, okay? So his brother, however, didn't start saving for retirement until he was 40. And just like his brother, he stopped making contributions. And just as his brother, he stopped making his own contributions. Just as his brother stopped, sorry. So he also invested $4,000 annually, 10% rate of return, tax-free. But he kept at it until he was 65. So brother number one, 20 years, from age 20 to 40, he invested $4,000 a year annually. Second brother didn't start till age 40. He also invested $4,000 per year, but he did it for a rate of 25 years. Okay, so who do you think has more money in their account? They both contributed the same amount, right? They both contributed $4,000. per year, and actually the second brother contributed more. But let me give you let me listen to this. This is crazy. So in sum, first brother, he invested a total of $80,000. Okay, so that's $4,000 per year for 20 years at 10%. Brother number two, the late bloomer, invested $100,000, $4,000 per year at 25 years, rate of return 10%. This is how different it made. This is the difference that it made. Brother number one, by the time they were 65, had $2.5 million.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Okay, that's the one that started at age 20. Now, his brother, who started at the age of 40, had less than $400,000. So now, however, again, yes, they both contributed. The first contributed $80,000, the second contributed $100,000. So yes, they had a great rate of return because of compound interest. But look at the difference when you get started earlier, as opposed to getting started late. It makes a huge difference. So
Wow.
that is really amazing.
That definitely answers one of my questions. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
What if someone is, let's say, working, at a fast food place?
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, McDonald's, or even, like a place out here, fast food place where, minimum wage is $15 an hour. And their checks is, very small. How are they still able to invest? How can they invest to where, they see something accumulating, off of $15 an hour?
That's a great question. So let's say, and I don't even know if they work 40 hours a week yet.
Because, there's a lot of people who work at places like Five Guys, and other places, Burger King, Wendy's, or whatever, and they feel, especially living out here in LA, they feel that, okay, well, I get my check and it has to go towards rent. I don't really have much left over. Like, how can they, swing money around to, even
to even do anything?
Yeah.
That's a great question. And honestly, I would say that it has a lot to do with the individual person, meaning how motivated are you to actually get started and think about your future? So for instance, and it doesn't take a whole lot, okay? It doesn't take a lot. You can decide, hey, you know what? I am going to contribute $100.
I was just thinking that.
Yep, I'm going to contribute $100 a month, right now, because that's all that I can. That's what I'm doing. That may be even a stretch for somebody. I'm going to contribute $100 a month to this account, and maybe at a rate of return of 7% or something like that, just being modest, and see what happens. I mean, it really doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't quote unquote matter, because if you think about it, if you're saving nothing, then you're saving nothing.
Right, that's true.
But if you're saving something, you're gonna, you want to maximize that. So take advantage of compound interest so that you can look at your stuff and just say, oh my gosh, I contributed $20,000, but over a certain period of time, I actually got, let's play around and plug in a number real quick. So say for instance, somebody says, hey, you know what? I got $100 that I'm going to put away. So they start with $100, and maybe they do that over the next 25 years or something like that, we'll say. And we'll say at a rate of return of 7%, just being super modest. Okay? So that means that basically, this is crazy, guys. So that means that over that time period, they have put in $30,000. Okay. So that's a reasonable nest egg. So they're just like, okay, 25 years, I've been saving up, I have $30,000. But no, actually, because of compound interest, they have $81,579.71. So they've only put in $30,000, but because of their the compound interest, they actually now have a nest egg of $81,579. So again, it just doesn't matter. It's just basically as long as you get started with something.
And that's over how
That's over 25 years.
Oh, good.
Yeah, over a 25-year period of time. So, say somebody's just like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to put this away and not even think about it. It's $100. And they're thinking that, well, if they calculate it over that period of time, that's again, they would have only had $30,000 if they would have just straight up $100 a month, nothing added to it or whatever the case, or I should say 7% rate of return, or I'm sorry, just $30,000, no interest, just straight up themselves, it would have been $30,000. But because of compound interest, actually $81,579.
Wow.
So, I mean, and what if you don't have any kids? You're just putting that away because you're like, hey, I need to save something. I don't want to just, I want to see what I can do. And I only have $100. I only work at McDonald's or whatever. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't matter. You just got to get started.
So let's talk about, some of the best compound interest investments here. Now, some of the best compound interest investments will include like CDs. Let's talk about CDs just a little bit here. I'm not going to go all into, just detail on every nook and cranny here. And I have my notes. So now CDs, they're like great. It's actually a good investment, especially for like new investors. So because it's, with very, very little risk. Now, so CDs are, instruments that's issued by banks, okay, different banks. But they just require you to put a minimum deposit down, and then they'll pay you like, interest at like regular intervals. So that's really good. Now, keep in mind that the money is locked up in there until the term of the CD reaches maturity. So, but it usually pays much higher than your regular typical savings account. So that's definitely a plus right there. Now the term of the CD does vary. So let me just be clear on that. It does vary. It could range from 3 months to even like 5 years. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But it's great to have, a CD. It's, a lot of people, do believe that it is better than your regular bank account. So, but now the great part about it is that once the CD matures, over the time frame that you set, you have full access to your money. So you can pull the money out without, being penalized. So that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about, paying, these fees for, early withdrawal and all that stuff too. So now if you want to grab your money sooner out the CDs, if there's a situation where, okay, well, I want to have the money in there for this amount of time and I want to hurry up and get it out, maybe earlier than, other CDs, then you just pick a CD that's has like less terms. You want to, pick, basically a shorter term CD. So that way you can pull your money out even faster too. But it's good to select one where you can, of course, keep your money in there and let it accumulate. So, for a while. So that's really a good thing to get into as far as that. And
CD stands for?
Certificate of deposit.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
So, sorry, my throat is dry. I need my drink. Thought you was asking the audience or whatever. But so yeah, another thing that you want to check out is high yield savings account. So high yield savings account is just another excellent choice. A little bit about that, it requires very little to no minimum balance and usually pays a higher rate of interest than a regular savings account, while still having, that safety net of the FDIC, which you are insured up to $250,000. So that's a good thing right there. And now in order to receive that advertised rate, then you might, they might require you, some places might require you to meet, minimum balances. So you want to also keep that in mind as well, too. Then there's also bonds and bond funds. There's money market accounts. Money market accounts are interest-bearing accounts, and they're like very similar to savings accounts. And they also allow for check writing, debit card privileges, which makes it easy to access all your assets while you earn higher interest. So that's a good thing too. And one that I really like, so there's dividend stocks, but one that I really like is the real estate investment trust, REITs. So basically talk a little bit about that. What's good about that is that you can invest in real estate.
Right.
You can invest in real estate without buying a property outright. So you really can't beat that. Invest in real estate without getting the property outright without paying all this money. And you gotta, get the property and you gotta fix it up and flip it and everything. Now, REITs pay out at least 80% of the taxable income back to the shareholders in the form of like dividends each year. But in order for the investors to enjoy, the benefits of compounding, they must like reinvest, all the payouts and everything, which makes sense. So now keep in mind that the price of the REITs can fluctuate. So you want to just kind of be careful of that because it's to kind of be like a roller coaster. So those are just some of good investments, compound investments that you want to definitely check out too.
Right. And one last thing. So I don't know if we said 250,000 or whatever. That was one of the examples Ty used.
Yeah, just one example. 250, 500,000, million.
So again, it doesn't take a lot of money. So for instance, say you have, listen, we all have, I would say, the people that watch this channel anyway, hey, at some point in time, you're going to have at least $1,000 that you're like, hey, I have $1,000. I want to put this away. Maybe tax refund time came and you're like, man, I need to really start like thinking about my future. Maybe you have kids, maybe you're single, it doesn't matter, but you got to think about your future. So you have $1,000, say you start with that. And again, modest rate of return of 7% compounded, of course, over the duration of 25 years, and you're only putting $305 into that particular investment every single month, there's your $250,000. It's actually $252,797 and some change, while you've only contributed $92,500. So again, say you're like, hey, you know what? I'm going to save anyway. I'm going to put this money away because I'm not going to work until I'm dead or just whatever. And you're like, I need to put something away for my kids or whatever the case may be. Maybe you're like just had a kid or something and you're like, I need to save up for them because I just need to save up for them or whatever. Then here's a vehicle. Here's a solution here. You start with $1,000. You get into a compounded rate of return of 7%, some type of vehicle like Todd mentioned. You save it up for 25 years. You contribute $305 a month for 25 years. You've got $252,000.
Yeah.
I honestly wish I had known about this like a long time ago.
Yeah.
We're just learning things as far as, just really diving deep. That was something that I was like, I want to learn some new stuff. And I think that's like really important. And we want to bring that to you guys because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, because again, a lot of people, and especially like, younger people, young kids, like they have no clue about investing and things like that. And but I would urge, like, if you're young, you're watching this, like, start investing now. Like, just stay away from the Jordans or trying to buy that latest purse. If you're a female, don't worry about the new purse or whatever you call it, Chanel bag and stuff like that. Just take that money and just start investing now because it'll definitely benefit in the long run too. So but I hope you guys got something from this video. And, if you have any comments, just definitely leave us a comment. And please, make sure you like, subscribe, and share all across social media. And if you don't have social media, please share anyway.
And we'll see you on the next video.